By Omen and HyperX. Draven banned away, the Bard banned away, Azir, no surprise to follow. 40 champions off the board, 6 more in this first phase.
But I love the discussion, the topic of Fearless, because we have seen people, Oner, literally first-timing champions on stage here, asking their coach, asking Faker, what is the clear? What do the abilities do on the champion? So game 5 here, World Grand Finals, elimination obviously on the line for each.
And so often in domestic leagues, Game 5 of Fearless has meant scaling. Champions like Oner rising to the forefront, knowing that it can come down to that backline hyper carry, making all the difference. So KT wisely eliminated. A third ban targeted at BDD. He's not allowed to play a single one of these champions, but what else does he have left in the pool?
Akali, Aurora, LeBlanc. Woo! Okay, Ziggs is flexible. That could be a flex pick, but we assume it's deokdams.
Most likely going to deokdam here. Makes me wonder whether we're going to see some Maokai 80 or Ivern 80 mid shenanigans here from KT. Because normally what I'd be thinking about is BDD's Zoe. Has been one of his most iconic picks. Again, he almost dragged his team to a World Finals 4 years ago. Couldn't make it then. And now finds himself on the precipice of winning it all.
And pairing it with the Ziggs, the classic for them, the sleepy bomb bubble.
Was that fun to play into? As the Pantheon gonna get picked up here for Oner. We're looking at things like what? Like Nefiri. Because I do think if you go Ziggs, you need a big AD threat. Kiana could be another.
Zed even?
Yeah. I mean,
a telecom more Zed?
Oh! The Galio, of course.
Faker's Galio!
Paired alongside the Pantheon. Woo! The potential, the global map mobility, a single member of KT. If they find themselves not up to snuff, if they overstay for one wave, they will be dismantled by T1. Now though, the option on the opposite side, KT taking their time. The Yorick, a powerful blind, dropped in prio a lot this tournament compared to his regional playoff dominance, but here in Game 5, it gives an angle for Perfect to really make the story about him.
Turrets tremble at the side of Ziggs and Yorick picked up together, and there is a fave being put in Cuzz and BDD, their champion pool, as most likely top and bot lane are secured. Cuzz and BDD keep hitting what they'll be playing.
So he could do the Cho'Gath into the Yorick and chomp the Maiden, or they could drop Doran's pick if they don't feel that invested in that particular counter.
Heavy debate. Every choice could be the one that costs you. But here we go. Game 5 finals. It's the Camille for Doran.
The Camille Galio we were looking for in the previous game finds itself in game number 5. The crazy pick potential that T1 have drafted here.
And I can only imagine that deokdam is like, why did we have Kench for this moment? As the amount of dive that's going to be there, going to be a big issue. And again, I'm looking at Cuzz, I'm looking at BDD, I'm looking towards things like Zoe, like Veigar, which is a classic pick. BDD has pulled out many a time. Not in recent times, but there is a lot of short range on T1. They're basically committed. I'm wondering if T1 want to go towards Jinx. That has been something that in Game 5 Fearless we've seen. It's the range and the ability to get excited. Gets banned away.
Despite the skepticism of Gumayusi's ability, KT will ban it because they recognize the potential for that champion to wreak havoc with this incredible dive frontline.
Yeah, full dive comp makes sense here.
Now taking away tanky options in the jungle. Anything that could shut it down.
If they still wanted a tank in the jungle, it would be Sejuani, kind of forcing them in that direction if they wanted it.
I'm still looking at that Nefiri or Cuzz on something that can have early impact. Jhin actually going to be the pick away, or the ban rather, not the Jinx. And T1 have had some incredible success on Jhin comps. This comp does really lean itself as, oh, MF! That's a gamble!
Gumayusi taking a back step. Just needs a lane dominant champion. It's not about him on a Jinx or a hyper carry. He's there to follow up on the wombo combo set up by his teammates.
Exactly. They have a lot of CC to lock someone down for the bullet time. And you can transition them into mid-wave so that you can make use of your split push and your globals here as well. So Misfortune on the Bloodthirster spike, put her over towards mid, rotate those Camille and Galio side lane pressures out to the other sides, and there's the Sejuani.
And
as I mentioned,
Sejuani, one of Cuzz, his all-time favorites. In 2023, KT, a team that had so much dominance. I mean, I love it, into Galio especially. So much dominance, and it was on Viego and it wasn't Sejuani as BDD. I want to highlight, Tristana is able to buffer away from the Camille taunt, or from the Galio taunt. You're able to also shoot Camille out. Oh my God!
Okay.
The BDD Smolder, he's bringing it back!
Scaling seems to be the answer for the side of KT in the face of countless dive options for T1. But this is a bold bet. T1, if they pull ahead like they did in Game 4, are set to take over the entire map with this composition. Keria, the final counter pick. The champion pool we know is deep.
Just need more engage. You just need more engage with this dive comp. Grab the ultimate here, and the question is, yeah, Smolder could be a good lane into the Galio, but can you survive later? With all of this T1 dive looking for you, a Game 5 Faker Galio.
I do really like it when, you know, there are two extremely clear game plans here. On one end, we have a comp that can split push, that can endlessly wave clear, and it's playing for the big spikes on Ziggs and Smolder. The pressure coming from Sejuani, from Yorick, from the Nautilus early. And then on the other end, it's a wombo combo comp. You're just pressing your buttons, everyone goes in, you layer that MF ult on top, and any problem that you have will disappear in seconds.
And remember that the performance also crucial. If a single member on KT or T1 misstep, despite the confidence we've earned in both these teams over T1's countless victories, over KT's performance in dire situations, when they're underestimated, every single player needs to be on point in this Game 5, or either of these crafted game plans could fall apart in the blink of an eye.
It all comes down to one final game of League of Legends in 2025 here in Chengdu. BDD was asked in the interview after they upset Gen G, what would you tell future BDD 1 week from now? And I thought his answer was so eloquent. He said, just do what you normally do. And now he just has to do it for one more game.
Set up in the mid lane matchup, range versus melee. So much time for Smolder to scale for free. Chengdu erupting in cheers in the final game. Level 1 setups, keeping an eye out for any creative options, but both sides just drawing lines of scrimmage, respecting each other's sides of the jungle. Neither side wants to be the team to give up a first blood or offer any early mistakes to the opposition.
One thing I do want to highlight for KT specifically is the value of Mercs. Looking at the CC that's available on T1, Taunts, Leona, even the Oner's W, definitely going to get good amount of value from that, as we do have a little bit of pressure being put out here by deokdam as he makes his way down. Low auto, but nothing too crazy here in the level 1.
And of course, for a lot of this series, it's been about bot priority, and it's been about the junglers. We take a look at how Cuzz and Oner have performed. Last game, no doubt, a masterclass from Oner, but here, comfort for Cuzz. On Sejuani, a proactive option for Oner. We know what he can do with those semi-globals. Eyes are on them to make these early game plays, even as we see the laning phase begin.
Can we add Smite's hit to that list of stats as well?
I don't know. I think one person might be a little bit more favored, although credit to Cuzz and the Mundo Cleaver steal is perfect, and Doran just trading blows.
Camille, one of those champions that I think has a really funny power curve, where like level 1, level 2, level 3, you're feeling great. First base, not too bad, and then you're basically just praying until you hit your Triforce. As Keria goes in.
Takes a tower shot. Just trying to zone away, make the most of that level 2 power spike. deokdam and Peter waiting to catch the wave.
And BDD is going to be trying his best to both farm as many stacks as possible and keep this Galio lane locked. If Galio isn't able to make impact in sides, especially in the early game, it's going to make it a lot harder for T1 to find places. Oh, look at Oner. He's diverted his pathing. He's looking for top. That's a classic.
Perfect. Needs to back up. Level 3. Getting lower and lower. Last right's offering a bit of healing. The tactical sweep there from Doran to slow him down. Oner all but certain to make this one come through. First blood for T1. Doran's Camille takes it.
The 3-camp gank from Oner. The price you pay is usually counter jungle, and since Faker is getting pushed in, since the Smolder has priority, it does allow Cuzz to exact that price.
TP back to the lane. Luckily for Perfect, Doran hasn't had a chance to spend that gold yet, so we'll still need to play with a little bit of respect.
And Perfect has had such an incredible tournament, but when the criticism towards him was the heaviest was when he fell behind early. It's been a big test for him to try and not fall deeper down the hole once it started. Many an LCK team in playoffs throughout the last 2 years have made that their goal, and this is his biggest test yet in the final game here at Worlds.
And it's a very worthwhile investment from Oner to do the topside 3-camp into gank, sacrifice his blue buff, because if you look at the comps overall, getting the Camille ahead is essential for this team, for the ability to play your side lanes later, for the ability for Doran to dive in on his Camille, Hextech Ultimatum into Gallia Ultimate lockdown. The possibilities here are critical for T1 and Oner back on the war path.
Oner recognizes what he needs to do. It's snowball, backstep, good from BDD. Faker tried to go for the angle, the flash, the Justice Punch, hoping it would carry him back just far enough to instantly connect the knockup.
A swing and a miss from the GOAT.
Faker no coward. If you go for the reverse punch, the time to respond is the shortest. But BDD doesn't even have to use flash himself, just walks it off, and this means that Faker is now in an even deeper hole because BDD actually having so much threat here in mid.
Yeah, it's a critical breakpoint because Galio lane does really revolve around, do I have jungle pressure to put threat behind when I move up in lane and try and taunt you? And now you don't have that pressure at all.
Q forward, sidestep, the taunt, Faker turning it back, BDD one more on the 1-for-1!
But BDD, no hesitation, must have known that that was going to kill him.
Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Doran locked down with the Pandas, Cuzz on the way up.
Oh, just barely.
With the flail. Doran barely able to walk away.
They didn't want to use the flash knowing that Doran's still at his. But we are getting explosive here. No slow early game in this game 5.
And BDD, he goes for that dive. You know, he does invest his flash. So that is something critical to look at. Oner is back and ganking again.
Perfect needs to get out. Has the flash available, but Doran just going to immediately flash follow. The adaptive defensive, the hook shot still there. The Q back for a bit of healing, but it's not enough.
Beautifully played, no hesitation. Oner flashes in so that Doran can then also close the distance, flash into melee range, and save the hook shot for the answer flash from Perfect, securing the kill.
And this is something that, again, we've seen KT struggle with, we've seen Perfect struggle with. Yorick, he just goes for the call, and his team at least will be able to find on the cross map the ability to get this dragon, but he needs to stem the bleeding, because if Doran gets out of control, this game becomes nigh unplayable for KT.
That it does, especially for BDD, the strongest point on the team currently, even as we see gold leads get bigger for Oner and Doran. The Camille start to take over. Perfect needs to stem the bleeding. You highlighted it so well. It's one of the few things that we haven't seen from him yet this tournament is now the hookshot wall dive is there. deokdam flashing away, but Oner's on the way as well. Ulti there, that's the Hextech ultimatum. deokdam likely to escape, but it looks like Peter will be sacrificed in return. The hookshot, making it out, send it play back to the tower, but it might cost Keria his life. It's a 1-for-1, no! The minions flicking out! Keria walks away!
Out of the lane swap, T1 find the trailing play here. deokdam and Peter could not fully push the wave in, and so T1 pounce.
And that's the
the comments! I had tea in my mouth, but that was incredible, the arcade comment!
He snipes him, and that salvages the play.
From downtown, deokdam on the Ziggs finds the play to salvage it for KT in the final game. As T1 were building a gold lead, he chops it back down a little bit.
And it's again the power of Pantheon, Leona, Camille. If you're slightly too far up in the lane, you will just get 100 to 0.
Keria. They spelled this out. Oner waiting off to the side. Cuzz level 6. Critically, Smite comes through. Cuzz immediately going to retreat. Red buff steal, a nice little advantage for the side of KT.
And they have to be careful there because there is obviously the possibility of Faker going for an ultimate there, so he can't really commit to the fight. BDD can damage him, but he cannot stop that ult. Doesn't have the tools available. And we do see The gold lead for Doran still there. Gold lead for Oner as well, and the resilience of KT, as we have seen these early games swing in the last 2 games. First couple of games it was in their favor. This time around it's T1.
Yeah, Oner has been on a mission, creating so much with this Pantheon. Cuzz, though, has level 6 on the Sejuani, so the possibilities of your plays become that much greater. He starts out the grubs with the confidence. BDD does have priority of mid, and it's just going to be the one for now.
KT have to be so respectful of the sheer quantity of CC on the side of T1. Also, all of their burst damage so heavily telegraphed makes it very easy for Doran with the ultimate, for Oner with the Aegis Assault, to just mitigate all of that burst and turn a fight right back around.
There's no mercs yet for KT. What I do love is that often in a Game 5 in Fearless, we end up with comps that don't have engaged. This is kind of the opposite. Both teams have amazing hard engage. We have Nautilus on one side, with Sejuani to back it up. Then the Camille Galio,
Faker.
Leona combo is
Moving down, that's the combo, locks him in the ultimatum, finds the damage, the taunt is there, and Doran takes another.
Faker Galio in Game 5 World Finals here does make the move for the guaranteed play. These 2 ultimates, when they are available, you know T1 can look for it. It does allow, of course, the push in. You see the mini-map, BDD shoved in the wave, but they're not going to get much out of it.
It's just not going to compare, right? Look at Perfect State. I wouldn't be surprised if Doran with that is going to be at least close to his Triforce, sitting on a 1K gold lead, and that is such an insane spike, particularly when you're playing in like a Triforce versus Triforce matchup, right? Doesn't quite have it yet. But Perfect, he needs to find a way to make an impact because he is currently just fodder for T1.
That he is. Luckily for him, the Trinity Force completion does not come through for Doran because very rapidly Doran is going to be a problem not just for Perfect in the isolated 1v1, but for BDD, for deokdam as we get ready for these bigger fights, and that is really going to be the break point that KT are terrified of.
Yeah, the game looks so hard to play for those KT carries that you mentioned. So many forms of dive from T1 will be looking to take them out.
And it's the entirety of T1 also playing, right? This isn't Perfect getting 1v1, it's 1 gang from Oner, 2 gang from Oner, gang from Faker as well. And you see Perfect, this lane state just kind of disastrous. Not really going to be able to make anything happen there, and instead just paths top. But that means that this gold lead is going to remain the way it is, and there it is for Doran. Triforce in the pocket, TP used.
Sundered Sky as well. 2 incredible power spikes for the coming objectives. 30 seconds until Chemtech Drake spawns. It won't be a soul of Mountain or Chemtech. Very likely to be critical for either team to deny this soul. And at this point, getting harder and harder for KT to find angles. They have to give up a little bit of space, but at least they have their first items completed. Heartsteel for Cuzz, the Essence Reaver, the Luden's Companion.
Trinity Force for Doran, though. That is very painful. The Q2 is really going to hurt. Let's see if they can make a play, though. Away from the top lane is not that bad for KT.
Peter, ready to input buffer on the hook.
Look at Doran, though. He's moving down. If Doran comes, that's the over 1,000 gold lead coming over.
Shutdowns on Doran and Oner, just showing us where all of the money is for the side of T1. 1,000 individual gold lead over Perfect. BDD zoning, poking while he can, dodges out on the tactical sweep, but uses the flap, so needs to be careful for at least a few more seconds.
That's Drake just gone.
Yeah, KT.
Got the first one, not the second one, as T1 picks this one up. And the 1-item spike for T1 is frankly disgusting. Also want to highlight, Faker is one of the few Galeos that we've seen, at least in the SK, consistently do this. He just builds full damage, right? We've seen him both go for like a more hybrid build where you go for Zhonya's and remaining utility, but he is not afraid to just full send it, and it does make the itemization harder, right? If he goes for tank, then you can stack a lot of armor, can make actually finding the angles onto this KT backline a little bit more tough, as it's Cloud Soul, which feels apt for a LCK final Game 5. I don't think we've gotten one yet this series.
Doran again, finding these angles. The good news for Perfect is Yorick's power in the 1v1 means he can at least survive a little bit here in what should be a very one-sided matchup. But obviously with Oner poking his head around on the top side of the map, he's still very vulnerable.
Yeah, you have to be cognizant of this Pantheon ultimate at all times. Thankfully for KT, they still have their tower standing for now. But for how much longer will that be true? T1 make a pretty heavy movement into the jungle. Look at the river pings. Nobody actually goes for the engage, though, and the crab will be secured by KT.
Yep, good shadow from Oner, looking for a potential angle of attack there on the top side, looking to put Perfect even further behind, but deokdam, of course, with access to that Mega Inferno Bomb, can immediately clear the wave and make that a lot more of a tricky proposition. T1 don't need to take any risks. They've got a gold lead, they've got a dive comp that's already accelerated.
And for Perfect, like you can't fix your wave. There's a Camille, you know there's a Leona nearby, and there's Pantheon with ult as well. So unless KT sends someone up, and Cuzz thus far hasn't found impact in this game, not a hard steel stack to be found. There is obviously the promised land, right, where KT is going to try and get to the point where BDD is his stacks, deokdam is at his third item, and Yorick is one of those champions that I think always will get value if you get a little bit of time alone inside, but T1, I don't think they're going to just let them get to that point. You're going to have to fight tooth and nail.
And I foresee a future where the value of Yorick gets given over in gold to T1 if he's out there in the side lane.
Yep.
They very well could just pick it up. Again, the real interesting thing is going to see when these side lane turrets do end up going down, if they can still remain safe then, if they can actually still play the map then. Because currently, we have plenty of defenses to work with, so we can continue to farm here, trading farm back and forth, and it's going to be about the engage. But as you open up the map, that's when the true plays begin.
Looking.
Cuzz looking for the ultimate. Gumayusi forced to backstab, flashing away from Peter's hook. Small advantage to the side of KT. But ultimately, KT doing what they can with the Ziggs to hold control of the mid lane. Do not want to concede that priority as Keria just continues to lay down vision for Doran on the top side.
BDD currently at 116 stacks. Want to get to that breakpoint of 225 as soon as humanly possible. Currently looking to be slightly behind the curve as
deokdam caught out, Zenith Blade there, the ulti just out of range. Crucially.
And the cancel there as well. Peter has his buddies back. Gets the ult onto Guma, but this might still be this Herald. Oh, perfect.
Doran on the way up. The Maiden summoned. Doran, though, he's got backup. Oner on the way in, locked once again in the ultimate of Doran. But Perfect living for an extra second. The Q2 coming through just in time. KT want to punish, but they're a little bit too late.
Again, the Yorick is just food for T1. Guma's got to get out of there, though. He has his strut. Even though he doesn't have his flash, he can walk away. Again, it is just so hard to play side lanes. Even with towers there, T1 can still force it and still find a pick. KT, the consolation prize will be the Rift Herald, though.
No one can really catch this wave, though. They don't want to use the Ziggs ult. It looks like BDD is going to make his way over now.
Plus, you're losing bottom side power there with Galio just up at the turret. Faker pushing on that bottom side tower with the power of the extra 2 Void Grubs. A little bit of extra damage, a few more minions.
The saving grace for KT is that they have gotten a dragon. That is often what can be the decider between Smolder hitting the 225, which thus far, Split 3 in Worlds has been at 22 minutes, 34 seconds on average.
Yep, well ahead of schedule. BDD still comfortably farming despite kind of the struggles of the team overall. Will be a major concern as we get later. As powerful as Smolder is, it's not really Smolder. You still need to be able to survive Doran's initial engage, survive Oner's initial engage, not get caught in those big taunts or wombo combos from Guma.
Yeah, the dream for this KT squad is to be able to poke with your Ziggs as well as your Smolder once you get to your rapid fire. But what counters poke? It is hard engage.
Oner.
Peter, though.
Aegis Assault still there. Flash back into the blast cone. Going to keep Oner standing, but likely means KT will be able to secure the second objective here. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, though, it's push in favor of T1. And we talked about Ziggs destroying towers, but Doran, with this Trinity Force, also will just eat through that objective. KT splitting their focus. Is it going to cost them? Faker.
Second Drake is big.
Access to the ulti. T1 might just be a little bit late here. Cuzz desperately needs to smite. Doesn't quite connect. Crucially, deokdam able to get out for a brief moment. BDD now trying to turn and fire back, but Faker is on the way. Ulti going in. Doran is down. BDD still standing. The exhaust managing to take him a little bit lower, but Gumayusi sits on the back line completely untouched. BDD finally able to start opening up as Oner gets one back in return. Perfect is here to keep his mid laner alive. And there you go. KT find an angle to keep it close.
That's 2 shutdowns for BDD! And they get the second dragon as well!
This dragon could get huge. The Rift Herald goes down mid immediately. That was just after a 2-for-2 trade, and the dragon already went to KT.
1.5k individual lead. KT do not want to stick around any longer.
And we want to highlight again, this is not the Smolder Revolt where you hit your stacks, that's it. You actually need your items. As we take another look, the attempted engage onto deokdam doesn't quite pan out. Guma pulls the trigger too early, and look at that ult from Cuzz. CC's the MF, and the damage isn't quite there.
And then, when the Galio ultimate finally does come in, BDD and deokdam, they kite back here by the red buff. It's just that Oner goes in, he sees the angle to stun up deokdam, and go for another 1-for-1 trade.
Herald also dropped over the wall, I believe, just to give a safe exit if needed. KT, again, the gold lead was starting to feel insurmountable, but they brought it closer. PDD, unfortunately for him, the reality after that fight is as well as he played, there is now a target on his head.
But, yeah, I mean, fortunately for him, now he's also going to be way richer. So there's a target on your head. There's a wanted poster up for you. But you are rich. 2 items, and that rapid fire is what we were looking for. The poke breakpoint here for KT, they actually hit it fairly early. Being able to poke now with rapid fire, with the zigs, it puts even more pressure on T1 to engage. Normally, the counter to poke damage is hard engage, but you can't mess it up.
There's also Ziggs, who, as disengage goes, really are even able to, I think that's what deokdam tried to go for. You can interrupt the Pantheon like mid-jump, right? If you get the timing right. No defensive or no offensive satchels, I do hope, from deokdam, because both him and BDD are going to be prime targets. Perfect. Just going to have try his best to just have an impact in any way he can. As we do see, KT desperately want to hold on. With Otacon spawning, you want to hold on to his bot lane turret. Don't want to give that one up. And with the wave clear of BDD and deokdam, they should be good to go.
Galio's roaming, be careful. This is 2-item Camille, 2-item Doran.
Guma as well.
Tension builds on both sides. The Otacon, the crucial objective. T1 hold on to a 2,500 gold lead, but an Otacon surely would push it over the top. TP into bottom lane from deokdam. Has access to the ultimate. The flash is up for everybody on the side of KT except for Cuzz.
Are they going to send it? I feel like you kind of have to with the teleport being invested from deokdam there. We'll see if they actually do want to make a real commitment. Could get some summoners out of T1, but it doesn't look like they want to take the gamble.
Perfect also about to be taunted up. Has to be careful. They have so much damage here. Doran, of course, just reset the tower aggro, but he is locked down for a damn long time. Doran, untouchable for a brief moment, but they managed to kill him. T1 fumble the play in the mid lane, and perfect redemption as he survives the dive. Mom called, but she will not connect.
The dark procession from Perfect, it got them so much, and now they're opening to get the tower, the extra gold as well. KT, they're striking back.
And it keeps the gold. It's BDD. And this game 5 just keeps on delivering. Have to try their best, D1 does, to maintain this momentum, but they're not even close to a break point on the Dragons, as Kuma is just taking matters into his own hands.
deokdam, no ulti available, decent poke. Oner Faker here, the TP is used. T1 making the fast play happen. KT caught reeling, too far behind on tempo. Doran might have fallen in the previous play, but he is still damn powerful. deokdam here. T1 pushing them back. It'll take a miracle for them to get this one out. Oner, Peter coming in for the lockup, but Oner manages to get the objective, the fight coming out. Fire rained over the wall by Gumayusi, and down goes Peter. BDD finally arrived. That's the ulti coming in the meantime. He needs a little bit more space. deokdam, BDD untouched, but the front line has fallen. BDD, CC'd, knocked into the sky, and right back into the grave. T1, get Otacon, and ace KT.
A triple kill for Guma and T1! Do it! They take over!
And that could very well be the nail in the coffin for the roller coaster as Otacon goes the way of T1. KT overplay their hand. and the Dragon is going to follow suit.
Ultimately, you look back at this, an excellent window of opportunity recognized by T1, a team notorious for forcing early objectives. And it all falls apart for KT. The backline lives for far longer than expected, but T1 are just more powerful.
They kite back so effectively and then call for the re-engage after they already have the advantage. Oner ulting behind to make sure there's no escape for deokdam.
And there, it's the call from KT is to try their best and force a fight because the resistances for T1 are shredded. But Peter just overextends, right? Just walks to his death. Then Cuzz tries to hard force, and that desperation now feels apt. Because for KT, this is a almost 6K goal deficit, and you can hit the 225 on BDD, but that alone is not going to be enough anymore.
And good stuff from Guma, it has to be said. The Unara game was not good, but the bounce back here in this game 5, the bounce back in the Callista game to really take over. This man, again, unfazed by the pressure placed upon him. 3,000 individual gold lead. He conceded his pick early. He was willing to see the Ziggs on the other side, and now the MF that he picked so late in the draft is doing so much work.
There's a bottom side play at the moment. Cuzz was kind of pinging and looking for a possible play onto Faker, but Faker backs off. He has the sense. He's not going to become a liability. And it's T1 who start up the Otacon and try and draw KT into that fight. They kite back through the tri-brush very nicely. It's in these moments, these big moments, Game 5, all the pressure on, the entire world watching. And T1 claim a huge advantage in the game, but it's not over yet.
No, it's certainly not. No flash on Guma after the previous fight. No flash on Faker. Doran has access to his as well as the Hextech ultimatum. BDD completing that third item. 4 stacks away from that crucial 225 threshold. Behind schedule now from the tournament most impressive moments as he was delayed by T1.
And KT, the luxury is that they have dragons, so they don't need to be forced into a fight. The unfortunate reality, though, is that in 20 seconds, T1 is going to start Baron. We all know it is inevitable at this point, and Shadow Flame's done for deokdam. Third item for BDD plus the breakpoint, but they're going to have to find a miracle fight to stay in this game, because if they lose, this one's over.
And the reason you start that Baron is to draw KT out into the open, so they can actually find the engage onto BDD. The hope there, he has no flash on Smolder. He may be the one with a gold lead. He may be the one with 3 items on KT, but T1 have so many weapons looking to kill that Smolder.
Feels so difficult now for KT. Feels like they're forced on the back foot. If T1 don't overplay their hand, KT always forced to respond. For T1 in touching distance. Once again, 2015, 2016, 2017, they were denying the three-peat from Faker. But now this lineup, with Doran subbing in this year, on the cusp of making history. And it's Doran again who has been the center of attention in this crucial game on the Camille. 3.5K individual lead, 7,000 gold for T1. The Baron started as expected. KT in dire straits as Faker brings it back. Wants to turn with the taunt. Initial lockup from Keria is good. deokdam laying down a bit of poke, and he's going to be able to satchel out, but an immediate flash follow. Coming in from Oner. T1 don't even need the objective. They're happy to keep pushing for a bit more. On the top side of the fight, they've isolated BDD. He's continuing to fight. He wants to turn it back. He gets the kill on Doran. Crucially, Faker falls. KT hold.
BDD, the heart of KT, is alive! The Smolder lives under the tower, but T1 are still pinging towards the objective.
There's no way with Smolder alive. I don't think you can get away with it. And yes, they get deokdam, but all that KT want to do is stall. Keria's engaged, doesn't hit the mark immediately, and deokdam stalls for a good amount of time. Oner's able to take him down, but it's an overextension on the flip side.
Yeah, T1 are just too split. They go under tower here. Doran just barely cannot finish off BDD.
KT needed a miracle. T1 split their focus, split their attention, and it cost them dearly. It is, again, all eyes on BDD because who else could it be? 3,000 individual gold lead, has crossed the stack threshold. He is the threat that T1 must reckon with in the fights to come, even with the massive lead they still hold.
And now he has Flash to play with, the ability to outplay. See if he can do it.
I don't want to be disingenuous. It has not been the story of this world, but it has been the story of this year for KT. This gold graph right here is something that any KT fan has watched throughout, and when all is on the line, it might have to be BDD that carries them over again. I'm looking at Doran, he doesn't have flash, but if he can get a node onto BDD, that could be enough to win the game. KT could choose not to fight here, but it looks like they're going to do so anyway.
T1, they need to have focus this time around. Last fight, they went for 2 angles at once, and they paid the price.
Flanks coming in. T1, entire topside missing flash, that crucial cooldown, but their ultis will be there. 3 seconds on Doran. Gumayusi, the other player to keep your eye on as well. The ulti can do a lot of work. Doran going in, doesn't connect the hookshot wall dive, immediately CC'd. Exhaust coming in as well. Combo over the top from Guma! Finds 2! Exhaust as Keria moves his way to the backline. Faker rains down from the sky, locks up BDD, and obliterates the hope for KT Rolster!
The bullet time will end the time of KT here at Worlds as T1 will chase down Cuzz and look for the Baron.
And BDD, oh, on his shoulders, and that is too much weight for one man to bear. They find him with the engage. They take out the only important member on KT as it's...
Oh, look at the setup there. The Leona ultimate nailing its target.
And then BDD gets found by Keria, locks him down, and that's Dragon. That's actually, they ran straight to Baron. I'm sure they got Dragon with that. They're not wasting any time here.
9,000 gold. See what they can do with the Red Bull Baron power play. KT, they dug deep on the top side, punished T1 for splitting their focus, but in that last fight you can see that even if the top side fumbles for a moment, Guma still demands that respect.
Gumayusi. What a game. What a series it has been. And T1 will clean up that Dragon as well, the leftovers.
Tasty snack for T1. For KT, the item finishes few and far between. A couple of components for deokdam. But we get into the point where I don't even know if they have the damage, even if they're able to absorb that initial engage. I think BDD might be able to get his IE. T1 though, they're looking to secure their 3rd World Finals win in a row.
They don't want to give BDD the time to get that Infinity Edge. KT don't have the luxury of defensive items either for their key carries. Redemption, really all they have to protect deokdam and BDD. Faker solo pushing in the mid lane. The tier 2 will fall. Bot lane inhibitor likely next. This Doran really cannot be contested by anything more than the entire force of KT.
And T1 just have so many forms of engage. Even with Doran getting stuffed in the last one, Keria finding those KT carries and allowing T1 to take them down. There are just too many weapons and the map is too open now. KT are boxed into their own territory.
A comeback at this stage in Game 5 of a World Finals would likely be the greatest we have ever seen in the history of the sport. 10,000 gold advantage for T1. They are on Soul Point. They are so far ahead in every measurable metric. But the execution from KT, the potential, the tiniest glimmer of hope still lives on as long as their Nexus stands.
And all's on the line. T1, they can smell the weakness. 11k gold now. The Baron siege continues. And they will not be denied unless KT pull out an absolute miracle. I think we're seeing Oner looking for an ult angle, sitting in that jungle, but even with the wave clear of Ziggs and Smolder, it's tough to hold on.
Doran looking to get things kicked off. Hookshot wall dive brings him over. He's taking the tower already. Flash back to get away from Cuzz's ultimate. And the ulti manages to connect from deokdam. A big fumble. Not enough to get T1 back into full control of the game because there are no objectives on the map, but it will slow down the onslaught of T1. It will give KT a bigger glimmer of hope.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel. KT, they buy some more time.
Will be the end for now of the push, but it doesn't make a dent. If they can get a team fight off that, bag themselves a bunch of shutdowns, it could have been something. At least they only lost a single inhib. That's something. And Cloud Soul going over makes the game Very hard to play out, but it could have been worse. You know, I'm really stretching it here, guys. I'm normally great at finding angles.
Doran's going on some fun journeys.
Yeah, you know, normally we talk about not getting excited for KT. We're way past that. They're in finals. But Doran might have to chill a little bit.
He's a player, though, that you have to love in these moments.
You do.
The Krug Lord. You have to embrace it. You have to laugh with him.
It's very true.
And at him.
And despite the fumbles, all of the fights that have gone well from the side of T1 have involved Doran in some way or another. Guma also the backup point. That MF ult, 4.5 items for Guma means it's still a terrifying threat. And KT will need to make a stand.
It's so hard, though, because, like, who do you actually focus? There's Faker, who has stopwatch. Galio is just naturally tanky, level 18 as well. It is just Guma, right? Like, that's the only one, but he has not been in a position for you to engage on.
You could engage on Doran, maybe.
Well, okay, in a scenario where Doran is with the rest of the team, I feel like you shouldn't be able to. Camille with hook shot and ult. I know what we've been witnessing.
100%
okay, but I mean,
value.
in a theoretical world where that doesn't happen.
True.
It's a TP ward there.
Push mid lane, well highlighted by our observers. Potential for a flank. Perfect and BDD as well as deokdam do have access to that TP, although I imagine only Perfect will be looking to make the flank.
And I do seem to recall, I was in I cast a Zix game, I think this was Hanwha, and that one did go to 60 minutes. I'm just saying, we might only be halfway there. You know, we don't know. Is it likely? No. But it could happen again. But no, 2 times in a row.
Let's start the countdown now, shall we?
Yeah.
All right, 25 minutes away, 26 minutes away from a 60-minute game.
All they need is to get a, I actually see the lines. So you steal with deokdam's ult, the Baron. That gives you the stall. And then you flip Elder and you win.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, the good news for KT is, aside from that pipe dream, they do have Seekers on
Just
BDD.
optimistic.
Aside from that blinding optimism. But now they have to face check into the darkness. They see Doran in the mid lane at the very least. They see Faker. But again, if they overcommit to this play, double TPs are there. Oner semi-global is there. They could just look to end. So Perfect has been called back as T1 looks set to get the soul.
And T1 also have the luxury. They could just look for the fight if they wanted to.
Oner takes the soul. Cuzz stuck around a little bit too long, and now T1 empowered. Going to be that much faster, have that much more access to their ultimates. And I don't think there's any getting away from Faker, Doran, or Oner now that they have a Cloud Soul empowering them.
We're about to know whether this series will continue, whether the 60-minute dream stays alive, because GA's there for Oner. Guma has his sums available. We're gonna need to see a beautiful engage as deokdam just now hit us for an item. It's BDD with a stopwatch and a dream, wanting to keep that goal of making the World's Finals win a reality, but I think you guys are justifiably calling me out. It still doesn't really feel that likely.
And yet it didn't feel likely before when T1 split their attention.
That's true.
BDD was able to find the kill. So it's not over till it's over. But now with the Baron spawning, relatively even setup, but again, it's the waves in favor of T1 that make this so hard, as immediately they're going to kick things off by going in on Cuzz, taking away the Frost Armor passive. Lockdown from Keria is there. TP in from Doran as well. All T's going across the board. BDD caught off the side. A good flash to take him out, and Guma has to be careful, but he's so damn fast. Oner, pulling up BDD. He goes gold in an extra 2.5 seconds to consider what went wrong as T1 looks set to end it all.
They're going to finish the job. It is Doran and Peter left alone in the mid lane, and T1 will ace them.
T1 earning their legacy again and again and again. There can be no doubting it. 4 players on the Rift today, making the impossible possible. Oner, Faker, Gumayusi, Keria, and now Doran as well are world champions.
And the disbelief on his face. A teammate that so many have praised over the long years. Domestically, he's always been able to show it. As T1 find the free-peat.
An unrivaled dynasty here has just been made. The three-peat is real.
A team that when they found despair in 2022 against DRX, took it to heart, and have come every single world back to the finals, back to this trophy. KT had an incredible run, but against T1, it just feels impossible. A team that even in the face of bad games, even in the face of match point after game 3, did not falter for even a moment. It's KT's run, it has to be respected. Hearts out now to the players on stage.
Huge respect. What a run this roster has had.
And here now we check out the trophy ceremony presented by Mercedes-Benz. For these players in front of this, and again, this is T1 to its core, right? There is no arena, there is no stadium where they do not feel at home.
Doran, you can see still, barely believes it. Faker keeps giving him the shoulder taps. As T1 shows us again and again and again, as you highlighted, Dracos, why this is the greatest team in the world.
Chengdu erupts. T1 wait a moment to lift the trophy together as 5. Doran, the latest addition to win his first title. The remaining 4, their 3rd consecutive. T1 world champions once again.
And they did it as the 4th seed again. They had to play in the play-ins, the newly created play-ins. Elimination right at the beginning of the tournament was faced.
Oh man, Doran lifting that trophy after all was said and done. As Doran is Oner rather is flexing. One-handed lift as the GOAT in the 2nd